What's going on, guys? Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to another video where we're going to be covering all of the latest developments concerning the PMDG 737 this week. So again, on the PMDG official forums, Robert Randazzo, who is one of the main developers for the aircraft, has released some amazing new information regarding the aircraft finally going into beta testing. The forum post highlights a bunch of different things, such as new texturing and modeling that's been happening for the aircraft, how the aircraft is being finally implemented for the end user customer base, some amazing work on the heads-up guidance system or the HUD, as well as some light that has been shed on the performance of the aircraft when it finally graces our simulators. So there's tons of stuff to check out, and I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get right into it. Just before we get started though, it does take a little bit of time to compile these videos and create these updates for you guys. So if you guys could find it in you to take just a little bit of time and give this video a like, maybe subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell icon so you guys get stay notified every time I upload one of these PMDG development updates, that would be absolutely fantastic. Also, make sure to check out my Discord server linked down in the description section below if you want to get intimately involved with the ongoings of flyby simulations, maybe contribute ideas for future videos, and so on. And that's all the self-promotion I'll be doing. Let's actually get into the PMDG development update for this week. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so before we dive into the forum post officially and take a look at all of the changes and the implementations that have been happening this week, let's take a look at some of the pictures that were shared by PMDG. Starting off with this one, I love cockpit images, and I'm so glad that PMDG finally provided us with a good image. Here, actually, I have to say that this looks very similar to the ZIBO mod, which actually speaks to the quality of the ZIBO mod, because the ZIBO mod used to look like this way back in 2016. So the fact that PMDG have finally managed to implement those floodlights and all of those lighting techniques, the aircraft is clearly flying into the sunset. It looks fantastic. You can see the MCP or the mode control autopilot panel in the front acting perfectly. The primary flight display, the navigation display, looks very nice. Obviously, you can see that the projection of the colors looks very nice, as well as the lighting of the different panels itself looks very proportionate to the surroundings, which is something that I really don't like in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Whenever you look outside to the sunset or the sunrise, the actual illumination of the panels dims, and you have to actually look inside the cockpit to be able to see the panels, and even sometimes miss pertinent details that are present on these panels, such as the speed or the altitude when you're doing complex operations. So I'm glad that PMDG has found a way to balance these, and it looks overall very nice. High resolution textures all around. You only see 2 landing lights on top. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It means that the landing lights being used in this particular configuration of the 737 are LED, if I'm not mistaken. So again, very good news. So as for the HUD, he said that it works well in both daylight and in night modes, with variable dimming of the projected image to suit your needs. The HUD also includes all of the flying modes that you would normally use in flight, and the image is fully collimated to the outside world, as you can see in the image here below, which means if you move your position throughout the flight, you will see that the actual projections on the glass display will also move accordingly, giving you actual guidance in IMC conditions, which is instrument meteorological conditions, during IFR flight in low visibility procedures. So again, fantastic stuff, good implementation of all of this, and I can't wait to see this in my simulator and try it out myself. Now, just as is usual with PMDG, they normally share also an external shot every week, so we again have an external shot of the aircraft with the classic PMDG colors, as you guys can see here. Again, we spoke about this last week, but the PBR is clearly coming into its own. You can see the sunlight beaming off the surface and the fuselage and the wing of the aircraft, as well as a little bit you guys can see on the tail, depending on the material that is used to construct these various aircraft. So all in all, it looks pretty nice. I don't really know what to comment on this image about particularly. If you guys see some pertinent details, let me know. Is that the ram air turbine that is sort of descended down there, or is that just like a static wake or something? I don't know. I'll point it out, and if you guys see some pertinent details, make sure to put it down in the comment section below, and I'll come to it. So with all the preview images looked at, let's actually get into the forum post itself and see what Robert has said about all of the development that's been happening this week, including the performance of the aircraft and the aircraft going into beta testing. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I think the best way to go about this forum post is to work through it procedurally, go step by step, and take a look at everything that was mentioned. So, the forum post started by Robert saying that this has been a very busy week for the dev team. Obviously, they want to get the product to the customers as soon as possible. However, as of today, the first product in their series of new products for Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is the -700 variant of the 737, which is going to be coming first, has entered beta testing in a form that will mostly conform to the final product. Now, this is good news. The reason it's good news is because most of the time when these products go into beta testing, a lot of systems still need refinement. However, what Robert is saying here is that the aircraft that goes to the beta team is actually very similar to the final product we're going to be getting, which means after the beta has finished, the release date wouldn't be that far for the general public, which is good news for all of us. Now, the primary development focus for this week is similar to last week, but with a couple of beta-focused changes. So we're going to be working our way through all of these. He's given a list of around, I think, 10 items. So let's just work through those and see what more insights we can unpack from this. So number one, further adjustments to the 3D model of the heads-up guidance system, including improvements in the combiner glass technique and positioning were made for the aircraft. Now, I don't know what the significance of the HUD or the heads-up system is, but apparently it helps in flying in IMC conditions, which is instrument meteorological conditions, which is basically low visibility. You should be able to use the HUD. I guess they're putting a lot of time and effort because this was also highlighted in their previous development update last week. So it's good to see that they're putting in that much effort into small tiny details like this. All around, some good news for us expecting a high fidelity simulation of the 737. They also worked on scale work, detail, and adjustments over all of the 3D models, including the virtual cockpit and the external models. Good to see that. They've also implemented and tested the TCAS 2 version 7.2 with both online and offline traffic. Now, this is huge. I've always wanted to fly online on VATSIM or any other sort of these virtual online networks, and basically there haven't been some great aircraft to do it with in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So to see TCAS, or the traffic collision and avoidance system, being implemented properly within the aircraft gives some great opportunity for us flight simmers who really want to immerse ourselves in online traffic. So that's good. They've also continued work on shadow models and texturing, verification of hundreds of hardware, equipment, and functionality options, which of course is classic PMDG. They don't let any details slip, which is good to see. Updated models and textures for ground handling equipment have also been implemented, which is good. Improved accuracy for automated pushback features, including user-driven pushback tractor. Now, this is exciting. I've always wanted to do this in the past. Agreed that the toolbar pushback plugin in Microsoft Flight Simulator currently allows us to do this to a certain extent, but to have a user-driven pushback tractor, meaning that we can actually drive the aircraft around the entire tarmac, is going to be very fun. Maybe not in realistic operations. Maybe we'll leave it to automated pushback for normal operations, but just as a fun video, it might be fun to just drive an aircraft or a 737 around using a user-driven pushback tractor. They've also continued system logic checks, verification, and adjustment to resolve previously and currently reported system logic service reports. Obviously, this is just some technical jargon to show us that a lot of back-end work is also going on with the aircraft. There's also implementation of client-side installer and server-side installer assets. We don't really care about that. That's just the final release state of the aircraft. And finally, functionality verification for flight plan loading from outside tools, which is SIMBRIEF and other such sources, as well as saving or loading of FMS generated flight plans has also been implemented with the current version, which is again good news because sometimes it kind of becomes tedious to be able to sit down and type all the airways and waypoints into the FMC, and having the ability to load it and have an uplink to be able to kind of seamlessly do it within the aircraft is a good boon. Finally, Robert went on to say that this week can be summarized in long form by saying that it was a big week for cleaning up details all throughout the airplane, as they are finally to a point of product stability where they can zoom the focus out a bit, look at the larger details, and begin to focus on systems, operation, and refinement. Again, we saw this last week. They're moving from implementation to refinement, as I said, and it's good to see that because that means that most of the aircraft development has finally finished, and they're only focusing on cleaning up some of the details and basically ironing out some wrinkles, which means the release date won't be that far. Robert also went on to say that they're shifting into a mode where they go searching for distinct platform PMDG issues that fit into a group of issues that arise from their own lack of familiarity, lack of understanding, and lack of experience and expertise with the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform. Again, as I said before, they're very used to doing things in the FSX and P3D world because both of them were very alike in terms of the simulators. It wasn't a big jump, but Microsoft Flight Simulator, it offers so many different tools, some of them different, some of them superior, and some of them inferior from the prior platforms that PMDG themselves have to get comfortable with before implementing those systems for us consumers to enjoy. So they're kind of going on a scavenger hunt to pick out these issues and iron them out before releasing it to us. Robert gave us an example of one of these kinds of issues by saying the 737s appearing all over the world as AI traffic are showing up with their landing gear in the retracted position, which looks really odd. So they're working through what causes this among a number of other minor nuisance items. So as I said, very specific details like that are being worked on, and it's not something that you might necessarily notice, maybe on the performance side of things, or maybe on the refresh rate of some of the glass cockpit details, you might notice things, but it's mostly in the back end, and PMDG, being the very meticulous developer that they are probably trying to iron out these wrinkles as best as possible. Robert did say that from their standpoint, the airplane is feeling very complete, and as such, they made the decision on Thursday to move forward and transition into beta testing, so that's good. All of their testers have received the airplane and have just begun to put it through its paces. I'm very sad. I actually reached out to PMDG myself, asking them if I could make my aircraft dissected series of videos, get a beta copy or something like that, but I haven't heard back from them. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. If any of you guys watching are currently working for the PMDG team, I would love to be part of the beta team. You know, maybe put me on the video production side of things. I would love to do it. Now, they have said that they've embargoed their feedback to just the designated PMDG beta testing spaces for now, which is on their forums, as they want to get the team who is currently beta testing the aircraft up to speed before they turn them loose to start showing us, the regular flight simmers who don't have access to the beta aircraft, what the beta team is actually experiencing with the aircraft, including some of the functionality, the performance, and all that good stuff. Now, this is pretty standard stuff. For those of you who don't know, embargoes are basically soft form contracts that prevent these beta testers from being able to leak or release any information about the aircraft since it's not in a final stage. PMDG doesn't want some of the issues and other things to come out to the regular public that will create panic and might drive down sales later on. So it's just a way to keep that information contained within to the development space. And when PMDG is confident that the aircraft is in a good enough state to be able to show all of the information about it to the rest of the public, they will take down this embargo and we will be able to have some access to the aircraft. And finally, Robert did also address the performance of the aircraft. And for me, performance is a huge aspect of the aircraft. I've seen the A320neo by the fly-by-wire team start off at around 50 FPS or even 60 FPS I used to get back in the day, and slowly deteriorate in performance as the aircraft got more complex and so on. So with the PMDG 737 being as complex as it is, I really hope that the FPS doesn't take as big a hit. We know that it is going to take a hit because, you know, to simulate all of those systems in the back end, your processor is going to be doing a bunch of heavy lifting, but how big of an FPS hit is it? So that's the important question we're asking, and Robert said that this week they expect to be able to give us some pretty solid performance numbers now that many of their beta testers have the airplane in a conformal build. As of right now, the results that they're seeing are right in line with some of the other products available in the platform. Now, that doesn't really give us too much information. There's a ton of different kinds of products out, including, for example, the AEROSOFT CRJ and the AEROSOFT Twin Otter are very good for performance, but the fly-by-wire A320, which is obviously probably the most complicated airliner that is available for the sim right now, is also a little bit inferior in performance compared to that, and that has gone through quite a few optimizations as well. So it doesn't really give us quite a few numbers. I'm awaiting those solid performance numbers that Robert is alluding to coming this week to be able to get some more idea as to what the actual performance of the aircraft will be. Robert finally did share an anecdotal experience where he said that last night I tested the beta release by simply loading Microsoft Flight Simulator without any of the other development tools, and I was quite pleased with the performance result, so much so in fact that I thought something must be wrong. Anyway, they'll get us some raw numbers from our betas once they've had the chance to weigh in. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all that we had this week concerning the PMDG development update. Tons of exciting news. The aircraft finally going into beta, which means that the release date probably is right around the corner. Now I do know that PMDG like to extensively test their beta period, so I do predict that the aircraft should be coming maybe Q2 of 2022. May not be the worst prediction ever. We'll see if it actually finally comes to fruition. As for the add-on spotlight videos I make every week, there's been considerable development in the flight sim space, so I will be coming out with that video sometime this week, so be sure to check that out. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that bell icon so you guys can stay notified every time I upload one of these videos, and you guys can stay up to date with all of the development concerning the PMDG 737 and many other aircraft, utilities, and sceneries that are being released for the simulator as and when time passes. Also, make sure to join that Discord server. I do want to see every single one of you there chatting and talking about everything that is flight simulation, aviation, or aerospace. I've created a very safe space for you guys to do that. I only admit people that are sort of like, proponents of that kind of ideology of having a safe space to talk about this stuff. So if you guys want to join a community like that, it's small but it's thriving, make sure to join my Discord server from the link in the description section of this video. With that all said, thanks for flying by.